106 miles per gallon. That is not a typo. That is not a laboratory simulation or a carefully controlled publicity stunt. That is a Guinness World Record, set on a highway loop on Hainan Island in a real production sedan by a Chinese company called Geely. And if you own a car, fill up a tank, and have ever looked at the pump and thought there has to be a better way, then what just happened in China matters directly to you. Because here is what 106 miles per gallon actually means in your life. According to the EPA's most recent tracking, the average new car sold in America today gets a real-world combined fuel economy of around 27 miles per gallon, with passenger cars alone running a bit higher than that, and trucks and SUVs pulling the number down. The Toyota Prius, still the first name most people think of when they hear the phrase fuel efficient, gets around 57 miles per gallon combined. 106 is nearly double that. If you have a standard 15-gallon tank and you are getting 30 miles per gallon today, you fill up roughly every 450 miles. At 106 miles per gallon, that same tank takes you 1,590 miles before it runs dry. That is driving from Los Angeles all the way to Denver, and then turning around and driving most of the way back to Las Vegas, all on a single fill-up. And if you think that sounds impossible, Guinness World Records verified the result independently and put it in the books. This is not a claim. It is a certified record. So the question is not whether it happened, the question is how it happened, and why nobody outside of China seems to be talking about it yet. Let's start with what this car actually is, because the name matters less than what is happening under the hood. The vehicle is the Geely Emgrand i-HEV, a compact sedan that has now gone on sale in China. It runs on a hybrid system Geely calls i-HEV, built around a small dedicated hybrid engine from what Geely calls its BHE engine family. The production version that set the record uses a 1.5-liter four-cylinder, naturally aspirated unit producing around 110 horsepower on its own. That displacement and output are not impressive on paper. That is the kind of engine you would expect to find in a basic economy car, not something rewriting world records. But what this engine does with the fuel it burns is genuinely unlike anything that has come before it in a car available to the public. The key number is 48.41% thermal efficiency. Now that phrase sounds technical, so here is what it actually means. Every engine wastes energy. When fuel ignites inside a cylinder, not all of that energy moves the car forward. A significant portion escapes as heat out of the exhaust pipe. More disappears as friction inside the engine itself. Thermal efficiency is simply the measurement of how much of the fuel's total energy actually becomes motion. The average car engine on American roads today converts somewhere around 30 to 35%. Everything else is wasted. Just heat released into the air that you paid for at the pump and got nothing from. Toyota's hybrid engine, the one that powered the Prius to global fame and has been considered among the world's best for decades, sits at 41%. That number is well documented and has held up as roughly the industry's ceiling for years. 41% was the ceiling. Nobody had broken through it in a car you could walk into a dealership and purchase, at least not by much. Geely hit 48.41%. That gap between 41 and 48 might sound small until you understand that the entire global auto industry has been fighting for fractions of a percentage point for 30 years. Geely did not find a fraction. They found a completely different tier of performance. But if you thought that was impressive, what happened next is what Guinness actually verified. Because a record thermal efficiency number on a test bench is one thing. Putting the engine into a real car with a real driver on a real road and measuring what comes out the other side is something else entirely. That is where the 106 miles per gallon figure comes from, and it is worth understanding exactly how it was produced. Geely's i-HEV system pairs that small engine with an integrated 11-in-1 electric drive unit, essentially the electric motor and transmission combined into a single module. Rated at up to 230 kilowatts or 308 horsepower, more than double what the gas engine produces by itself. Between those two power sources sits an artificial intelligence energy management system that continuously monitors driving conditions including temperature, humidity, altitude, and road gradient, and redistributes load in real time. When the electric motor is more efficient, it takes over. When the combustion engine should be running, it runs. The system makes those decisions continuously throughout every journey, constantly trimming waste. The result is a hybrid, where fuel is deployed with a precision that no conventional control system could match. They took the Emgrand i-HEV to a highway loop on Hainan Island and ran it through a real-world efficiency test. The measured result was 2.22 liters per 100 kilometers. In American terms, that is 106 miles per gallon. Guinness verified it independently as the lowest fuel consumption ever recorded by a mass-produced hybrid vehicle. Now, here is where it gets personal for anyone who follows the hybrid conversation. In the summer of 2024, a hypermiling expert named Wayne Gertis drove a stock Prius LE from Los Angeles City Hall all the way to New York City Hall, a journey of just over 3,200 miles. It was a carefully planned route, purpose-built to demonstrate what Toyota's best hybrid technology could achieve across diverse real-world conditions, including mountain passes, the scorching Mojave Desert, and strong Gulf Coast winds. Toyota and Guinness confirmed the result. The Prius averaged 93.158 miles per gallon combined across the entire route, smashing the previous cross-country record, which sat in the mid-70s. It was genuinely celebrated, and rightly so. Geely has pointed to this exact comparison, using their own conversion of Toyota's figure 2.53 liters per 100 kilometers, or roughly 93 miles per gallon. Geely says its production sedan beats that number by more than 12%. Not on a coast-to-coast publicity drive with a specialist behind the wheel optimizing every variable. On a highway loop test on a tropical island. It is worth being honest about what that comparison means. Geely's test was a controlled highway loop under favorable, flat terrain conditions on Hainan. Gertis drove across mountains, deserts, and changing weather over 3,000 miles. These are different tests, run under different protocols, and they are not directly comparable in any strict scientific sense. What the numbers do tell you is that Geely's system is capable of results that belong in a completely different conversation than anything Toyota has produced, even if the exact margin depends on whose test conditions you're using. And Geely's spokesperson Victor Yang did not shy away from what the technology means. He told Bloomberg their technology will comprehensively surpass the hybrid technology from the Japanese. That is a direct statement about Toyota and Honda, the two companies that have owned the hybrid conversation for 30 years. It is a bold thing to say out loud. But when you line up 48.41% against Toyota's 41%, the engineering case is difficult to argue with. But here is what makes this more than just a single company's achievement, because Geely did not build this number in isolation. While the mainstream automotive conversation in America and Europe has been almost entirely focused on electric vehicles, Chinese automakers as a group have been making parallel advances in hybrid technology that have gone almost completely unnoticed in Western media, and they have been adding up to something much larger than any one record. BYD, which already surpassed Tesla in global electric vehicle sales, released its fifth-generation plug-in hybrid system in May 2024, with a thermal efficiency rating of 46.06%. Still below Geely's record, but still well beyond anything Toyota or Honda has produced. BYD's plug-in hybrid vehicles can travel a combined range of 2,100 kilometers on one full tank and one full charge. That is the headline number. And it does require plugging in, not just filling up. Other Chinese brands, including Changan, Chery, GAC, and Great Wall, have all released vehicles in roughly the same window, claiming combined ranges above 2,000 kilometers. These are not concepts. They are on sale now. Meanwhile, Toyota and Honda's top hybrid systems remain at around 41%. Detroit's legacy automakers Ford, General Motors, and Stellantis haven't published thermal efficiency figures anywhere near that of Toyota, let alone Geely or BYD. The gap between the high 30s and 48% is not a competitive disadvantage. It is a generational divide. It is the difference between watching standard definition television and discovering that the rest of the world has quietly moved to something fundamentally different. And now, here is the part that matters even to drivers who have never heard of Geely and have no intention of buying a Chinese car. Geely owns Volvo. Geely is the controlling shareholder of Polestar. Geely owns Lotus. It has a joint venture with Mercedes-Benz producing smart cars. And separately, through Horse Powertrain, a powertrain joint venture Geely, co-founded with Renault, in which Saudi Aramco acquired a 10% stake in a deal that closed in December 2024. Geely already has the infrastructure in place to supply combustion and hybrid powertrain, technology to partner brands at scale. To be clear about what's confirmed and what isn't, Geely has not officially announced that this specific i-HEV system is headed for Volvo's lineup for European showrooms or for American dealerships. But the company's brand portfolio and its existing powertrain sharing relationships mean it has every mechanism in place to make that happen. And given how aggressively Geely is rolling i-HEV out across its own lineup, it's already confirmed for the Xingyue, Xingyue, and Boyuel alongside the Emgrand. A broader rollout across its global brands within the next few years would not be a surprise. The engineering decisions made in Hangzhou could end up determining what sits under the hood of cars sold in Chicago, Dallas, and Seattle before the end of this decade, even though that hasn't happened yet. And for everyday drivers, the implications are straightforward. A car that returns 106 miles per gallon means filling up far less often. It means no range anxiety on a road trip through rural areas with no charging infrastructure. It means not rewiring your house, not changing your morning routine, not setting aside $10,000 to $20,000 for a potential battery replacement years down the road. You drive. You barely use any fuel. You fill up when you need to. The process is identical to what drivers have done for 100 years, except the number on the other side of that equation has changed completely.